I am trying to get these videos out faster. I know since I got myself behind, I had to take all of this time when I was doing my reviews. So I was doing reviews for books that were like months old, right? And I'm trying to do a better job, at least obviously on the future or the current runs, the ongoing series that are going on. And Doctor Doom just came out, Doctor Doom issue 5. I want to be clear. Now, what I'm about to say is kind of the whole topic of the video is weird in terms of what happens, but it's not a bad book. And I want to be very clear on that. I want to be very, very clear. This is not a bad book. If you're a Doom fan, know how classic of a villain he is. This is a book that you may be interested in. It deals with more so Latveria, which is the country that he runs and has been running for some time. Stage coup, or whatever you want to call it, he's out as the leader, and they have, these sort of world governments have their own guy that they wanted in there, and he's now in a position. What happened was he was, the story is centered around, there's at the beginning, first issues, there was some sort of thing in which there was this, what did they say? Yeah, international program that was launched, and they were trying to solve this issue of climate change, and it had to do with the moon. and what happened was there was a lunch strike, and it was a bunch of missiles from Latveria that were hitting the moon. Or more so hit that effort, right? It hit the program, or what's the name of it? The Antlion project. So of course, because the missiles were from where he's from, that is Dr. Doom, he's number one suspect, and there we are. So he's been on the run. It's Dr. Doom. You can't keep him incarcerated forever. And he wanted to prove his innocence because I had nothing to do with this. Yes, and the reason why they think it's him is not just about the missiles where they were launched from. It's more about the fact that he was against the idea. He was like, "This is a stupid idea. You're putting people in danger." So what he decided to do was, I'm gonna prove my innocence. I'm gonna let you. They came to get him up off the island or country that he runs. He was like, I'll go. I'll play along. So he plays along and not going the way that he's going, having these weird dreams. Kang the Conqueror is involved in all of this stuff. And it's a wild story. Taking that into consideration, though, Blue Marvel's in it. Now, again, the story isn't bad, but there's an instance that doesn't make any sort of sense. And it goes to show that you can be a decent writer, but understanding characters is a talent in itself. And it does take work to gain that sort of knowledge base on the character. Not saying that the writer can't, I'm not saying that he's like a terrible writer and he doesn't know anything about Blue Marvel. It's just what's being depicted here doesn't make any sense. Now, Blue Marvel's involved in this. Mr. Fantastic wanted him involved. Herbie's actually going along with him. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Dr. Doom and his involvement in all of this. Now, again, you have all of these parties that are involved here, and Silver Sable's also involved in this. And there's a scene that is completely illogical, and I'm going to show you guys, where she body slams him. Again, it's not one of those things where, okay, you allude to maybe she did this. She grabs him by his neck and slams him. Like on, I don't know, what is it, a tree or whatever, table, I don't know. They're outside, so it has to be like a tree or something. Now, say what you will about, say what you will about Blue Marvel, right? Some people do think that he's a little overpowered. And to be fair to Marvel, I think that they've done a decent job. And the reason, I mean, his character isn't that old, but they've done a decent job in trying to tame his powers, definitely in recent years, or his display of it. But at the end of the day, he is a crazy powerful person, right? And he actually has this idea of super strength, right? And I mean, by that, I'm not saying like bodybuilder strength. I'm saying like the whole antimatter thing. Like he's an overpowered being. He's like moved comets and all kinds of things, picked up tanks, all like he's a very strong man, right? Very, very strong man. And for her to do that, and for those that don't know who Silver Sable is, she has no powers. She's just a regular human. Now that makes for an interesting character, certainly when she shows up, but she has zero superpowers. None. She is not a superpower being like Blue Marvel is, like Adam is. So I'm like, why was this allowed to make it? And again, I don't want to just say, oh, well, screw it because of that. No, like the book's solid. It just doesn't make sense, and I don't know what Marvel does, because Marvel does that every now and then. But I don't know what Marvel does or who the editorial process. I've talked about this. Once we hit For Canon's Sake, I'm actually going to start actively trying to reach out to these guys because I would love to know what their jobs are. Do you guys have like some librarian that goes over the stories before you put them out and says, okay, this doesn't make sense when it comes to the canon that we've already established, so you have to address it? That is, again, it'd be one thing if you saw them in a panel like fighting or something, but for her to like slam this man on the ground makes no sense. If he was superpowered, you could understand, but you're talking about a massively superpowered being in terms of his strength and what he's able to do, and a being that has zero superpowers slamming this dude on the ground. And again, it's not just like one of those, okay, he's slightly over, like slightly powered. Like this guy's like overpowered. Like he can do almost anything. So it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all in the context of even this, because you could deal without that. But like I won't say like always, but sometimes I'm reading books and I always wonder what the process is with these guys over at Marvel, DC as well, but specifically Marvel, because I think they do create those sort of errors that slip by, even in good books. I mean, it's not nitpicking. Like, that's a big deal, right? Like, you had this non-powered chick body slam in a panel, like a very, very, very arguably overpowered superhero. It's completely illogical. It doesn't make any sense.